It didn't start with a voice, it started with starlight. 20 bright stars dimmed and brightened in a perfect order, like an eye forcing itself to stay awake. Telescopes tracked the cadence. NASA turned the pattern into sound, a slow pulse, patient, ancient. They played it back at normal speed, a heartbeat in the dark. They sped it up. The pulse became a sentence. Lock your doors. Do not look outside after the third night. The room laughed the way people laugh when they don't want to be afraid. Coffee cups clinked. Someone said it had to be a prank, a glitch in the photometry, a satellite reflection. The pulse kept playing, steady, colder now, rolling under the floor like distant thunder. Every desk lamp flickered to the rhythm. The wall clock missed a second and replaced it with a different one. They tried another conversion. No words this time, images, a clean map of the sky, then outlines of houses, then windows, all drawn in dots of light, repeating the same pattern. Window, door, window, door, black. Down the hall, a grad student walked to the glass to make the joke everyone was thinking. He raised a hand and waved at his reflection. The reflection didn't wave back. It stood outside on the parking lot asphalt, under a strip of sky that looked a shade too dark. In the glass, more reflections gathered beside it, shoulder to shoulder, as if the building had emptied into the night. Inside the office, no one moved. The pulse clicked once, twice. The third time, it didn't stop. The speakers whispered the line again. Faster now, urgent, almost kind. Lock your doors. Do not look outside after the third night. And somewhere past the windows, something tapped the glass. From the wrong side. I wasn't there when it happened. I was 3,000 miles away in my apartment in Silver Spring, Maryland, eating microwaved pad thai and scrolling through emails I should have answered days ago. My phone buzzed, then again. Then it didn't stop. The first message was from Theo, my supervisor at Goddard Space Flight Center. Call me, now. The second was from a number I didn't recognize. They're shutting it down. Get to Greenbelt before they scrub everything. Vince, whatever you see tonight, don't go outside, please. That one was from my brother. He worked security at the Deep Space Network facility in Goldstone, California. He hadn't called me in 2 years. I tried calling back. No answer. Just static that sounded like breathing. When I pulled up the news, there was nothing. No breaking alerts, no panic, no government press conference. Just the usual noise. But my work Slack was exploding. 37 unread messages in the astrophysics channel, all sent in the last 6 minutes. The last one, from someone whose username I didn't recognize, simply read, "The stars are counting down." The drive to Goddard took 40 minutes through streets that felt wrong. Empty, mostly. A few cars drifted past with their headlights off, which made no damn sense at 11 p.m. I kept the radio on, scanning channels. Every station played the same thing. White noise with a rhythm underneath it. A pulse. I switched it off and drove in silence. The gate guard waved me through without checking my badge. His eyes stayed fixed on something over my shoulder, in the direction I'd come from. When I glanced back in the rearview mirror, he was still standing there, perfectly still, watching the road. Inside, the halls buzzed with fluorescent panic. People moved too quickly, or not at all. Someone had spilled an entire pot of something dark across the linoleum near the stairwell, and nobody had cleaned it. The elevators were out. I took the stairs 3 floors up, passing a janitor sitting on the landing with his head in his hands. He was humming. The same pulse from the radio. Theo's office door hung open. He stood at his desk, surrounded by 3 monitors showing different angles of the same star field. He'd lost weight since I last saw him. His shirt hung loose, and the skin under his eyes had gone the color of old newspaper. "Close the door," he said without looking at me. "And for Christ's sake, don't touch the windows." I pushed the door shut with my elbow. What the hell is going on? Goldstone picked up a transmission 18 hours ago. They ran it through every filter we have. Linguistic analysis, cryptographic deconstruction, signal mapping. It's not natural, it's not random, and it's not human. He clicked something on his keyboard. The speakers crackled, and that voice came through, calm, measured, without accent or inflection. not male or female, just there. Lock your doors. Do not look outside after the third night. How many times does it repeat? I asked. It doesn't. It just says it once, then silence for exactly 90 seconds, then again. No variation, no degradation. The signals coming from multiple points in deep space simultaneously. 12 different star systems, all in a rough spherical arrangement around Earth. I crossed to his desk, careful not to brush against the window blinds. That's not possible. Light speed alone. I know what's possible. Theo's voice cracked at the edges. He rubbed his face and I noticed his hands shaking. 3 observatories have confirmed it. The Arecibo replacement in Puerto Rico, the square kilometre array in South Africa, and our own DSN stations. All receiving identical transmissions at the exact same moment. Someone, something, is broadcasting from multiple locations faster than light allows. What's the third night? I asked. Third night from when? Theo finally turned to face me. His pupils were dilated, black holes swallowing the colour of his eyes. From when the signal started. That was night 1, 18 hours ago. A knock interrupted us. The door opened and Jack Faber stepped inside. I'd worked with him 2 years back on satellite imaging calibration. Decent guy, weird sense of humour, always had a flask of bourbon hidden somewhere in his desk. Now he looked like he'd been running, sweat darkened his collar. They shut down external communications, Jack said, breathing hard. No calls out, no emails. The whole building's on lockdown, but they're calling it a security drill. Who shut it down? I asked. DoD liaison showed up an hour ago with a dozen guys in suits. They're in the server room right now, pulling hard drives. Jack glanced at Theo. Did you tell him about the images? Not yet. What images? I looked between them. Theo pulled up a new window. A grainy photograph filled the screen. A suburban street somewhere, maybe Virginia or Maryland. Normal houses, normal lawns, normal cars in driveways. Except every single window in every single house showed a figure standing inside, perfectly centered in the frame, facing outward. This is from a security camera in Bethesda, Theo said quietly. Taken 4 hours ago. The homeowner uploaded it to a local police database before his internet went down. There are 47 houses on this street. Every one of them shows this, every window. I leaned closer. The figures were identical, human-shaped, but the details were wrong. Too symmetrical, too still. Okay, what the actual fuck? Wait. Jack held up his phone. It gets worse. He showed me his screen, a text message from his wife. Baby won't stop staring at the window, keeps pointing. Says there's a man, I don't see anything. Should I look closer? The timestamp read 10:47 p.m, 20 minutes ago. Did you respond? I asked. I tried. Messages won't send. Jack's voice dropped. My house is in Bethesda. The lights in Theo's office flickered once. The monitors blinked off, then back on. When they came back, the star field had changed. Where there had been 12 points of origin for the signal, now there were dozens, hundreds, spreading across the screen like infection, each one pulsing in perfect synchronization. Theo whispered something that might have been a prayer or might have been a curse. Somewhere in the building someone screamed, then another voice joined, then more, cascading down the halls like dominoes falling. Jack moved to the window and started to lift the blinds. Don't, I said, but his hand was already on the cord, already pulling, and the blinds rattled upward to reveal the parking lot 3 floors below. Every car's headlights were on, every car was empty, and standing in the space between each vehicle, shoulder to shoulder in rows that stretched to the perimeter fence, were people, hundreds of them, all facing the building, all perfectly still. Jack's phone buzzed. He looked down at the screen, and his face went white. The new message from his wife read, I looked closer, I saw. Come home. Please come home. It wants in. The lights went out. In the dark, the only thing visible was the glow from the parking lot and the reflection in the window glass where the 3 of us stood. Except there were 4 reflections. The 4th one was smiling. Theo hit the floor. Jack stumbled backward, knocking into the desk. sending a mug crashing. I couldn't move. The fourth reflection stood between Jack and me in the glass, wearing my face but wrong, the smile too wide, the eyes focused on something behind the mirror. The emergency lights kicked in, bathing everything in red. The reflection vanished. Just the three of us again, breathing hard, staring at our own terrified expressions. "What the fuck was that?" Jack's voice cracked. "We need to leave." I grabbed Theo's arm, hauled him up. "Now." But Theo shook his head, already moving back to his computer. The monitors had stayed on, running on backup power. His fingers flew across the keyboard, pulling up files, data streams, archived transmissions. "We can't. Not until I show you something they're trying to bury." Theo dash. 3 months ago, Voyager 2 sent back corrupted data, one image file. NASA classified it within hours, said it was radiation damage, sensor malfunction. But I kept a copy. He pulled up a black screen, then a photograph. Voyager 2's distant camera had captured Earth from billions of miles away. That pale blue dot, except it wasn't alone. Surrounding it in a perfect sphere were points of light, thousands of them, equidistant, geometrically precise, like a cage made of stars. "That's not possible," Jack whispered. "Those would have to be objects," Theo finished. "Each one roughly the size of our moon. They've been there for at least 3 months, maybe longer. Completely invisible to every telescope we have except Voyager's antique cameras because it's looking back at the right angle through the right wavelength." I stared at the image, feeling something cold slide down my spine. Why are we only hearing about this now? Because whoever sent that warning knows about them. The signal pinpointed their exact locations, like someone outside the cage telling us we're trapped. Theo's hands wouldn't stop shaking. The third night, that's when they activate. That's when the cage closes. A bang echoed from somewhere below us, then another. Rhythmic, deliberate. Someone, or something, was hitting the main doors. Jack moved to the office door, cracked it open an inch. The hallway stretched empty in both directions, lit by emergency strips that buzzed and flickered. The humming had gotten louder. It came from everywhere now, vibrating through the walls, the floor, the air itself. "We need to get to the data center," Theo said, unplugging an external drive and shoving it in his pocket. "If they're wiping everything, there might still be raw telemetry from Goldstone. Your brother sent something through the secure channel 2 hours ago. I haven't been able to open it. It's encrypted with a personal code." "My brother?" The hair on my neck stood up. "What kind of message?" "Audio file. 3 minutes long. Theo wouldn't play it over the network. Said he wanted you here first." We moved into the hallway, keeping close to the wall. The building felt different than it had 20 minutes ago. Heavier somehow, as if gravity had increased by a fraction. My footsteps sounded muffled, swallowed by something I couldn't name. The data center was 2 floors down and across the east wing. We took the south stairwell, descending in single file. Jack led, I followed. Theo brought up the rear. Each landing had a small window facing the parking lot. I made sure not to look. Halfway down, Jack stopped abruptly. "Do you hear that?" Voices. Coming from the ground floor, multiple people talking at once, words overlapping, sentences cutting in and out. It sounded like a crowd, but wrong, too synchronized, like a recording played through a dozen speakers with slightly different delays. We continued down, the voices grew clearer. I started picking out phrases. "After the third night. Don't look outside. It's already inside, so close your eyes." Jack pushed open the ground floor door. The main corridor stretched before us, lit by emergency lights that cast everything in shades of rust and shadow. The voices came from the cafeteria at the far end. The double doors stood open. Inside, at least 30 people sat at tables facing the same direction. Not toward us. Toward the floor-to-ceiling windows that looked out on the northern lawn. Each person held a phone to their ear, speaking in perfect unison with the others, reciting the same words over and over. "Lock your doors. Do not look outside after the third night." "Jesus Christ," Jack breathed. One of them was Dr. Holloway, the astrophysics lead. Another was Karen from IT, a security guard, a maintenance worker. People I'd worked beside for years, now sitting rigid, eyes unfocused, speaking words that weren't theirs. Theo grabbed my shoulder. The data center, now! We backed away, moving quickly down the perpendicular hallway. Behind us, the chorus continued, never stopping, never breathing, just that endless loop of warning in 30 identical voices. The data center door required a keycard. Theo swiped his, and the lock clicked green. We slipped inside, sealing the door behind us. The room hummed with server racks and cooling fans, a cathedral of blinking lights and bundled cables. Theo led us to a workstation in the back, logged in with shaking fingers. The file your brother sent, it came through the Deep Space Network's emergency channel. That's supposed to be for extinction-level events only. Solar flares, asteroid impacts, nuclear war. He pulled up the encrypted file. A dialog box appeared asking for a code. "What's your brother's birthday?" Jack asked. "That's too obvious." I thought for a moment, then typed in something else. The last coordinates he'd sent me, years ago, before we stopped speaking. A joke between us about where we'd meet if the world ended. The file opened. Audio waveform filled the screen. Theo hit play. Static at first, then my brother's voice, distorted but recognizable. "Vince, if you're hearing this, I'm probably dead. Don't try to call. Don't try to come here. Just listen." A pause. Breathing. The sound of wind. Impossible, because the recording had been made inside the Goldstone facility. "The signal came in 36 hours ago. We decoded it, ran it through every analysis protocol. It's a warning, yeah, but not the one they're broadcasting now. That message, 'Lock your doors, don't look outside,' that came after. Second transmission. We think it's a countermeasure. Someone trying to override the original." Another pause, longer this time. I heard something in the background, a scraping sound, like fingernails on metal. The first message said 3 words, "They are already here." My brother's voice dropped to a whisper. We started noticing things right after. Reflections acting strange. People standing outside the facility at night, just watching. Dr. Gutierrez went out to talk to them. He came back 30 minutes later. Looked normal, sounded normal, but his shadow, it was facing the wrong direction, away from the light source. A crash. My brother swore and the recording jumped. "They're not outside, Vince. They've been here. Among us. Wearing us." The transmission, the original one, it wasn't sent from deep space. It was sent from Earth, by whoever's left, whoever's still human. They're telling the rest of the universe to stay away. His voice broke. The third night, that's when they stop pretending. That's when the ones who are already taken reveal themselves. And Vince, I think I'm one of them. I think I've been one of them for hours. And the part of me that's still me is getting smaller. I can feel it. Like drowning from the inside. Silence. Then barely audible. "Lock your doors." Not to keep them out. To keep yourself in. Because when it happens, you won't want to stop yourself from letting them in. The recording cut out. The workstation screen flickered. Then slowly, lines of text began appearing on their own, scrolling upward. "They are in the building. They are in this room. They have been here since you arrived." I spun around. Jack stood by the door, his back to us, completely still. He'd been still for too long. 30 seconds. A minute. Not breathing. "Jack." My voice sounded distant, muffled by my own pulse. He turned. His face looked normal, his smile looked normal, but his shadow stretched behind him, cast by the overhead lights, pointing forward instead of back. "Hey guys," he said, voice perfectly calm. "I think we should go outside. Get some fresh air, clear our heads." He took a step toward us. Theo's hand found mine in the dark. His grip felt real, warm, human. "Run," he whispered. We ran. Behind us, Jack's laughter echoed off the server racks. Too many voices laughing at once, overlapping, harmonic, wrong. The door at the far end led to the sub-basement. We burst through it, taking stairs that descended into darkness. The emergency lights hadn't reached down here. Just black, and the sound of our footsteps, and somewhere above us the patient sound of Jack walking. Not running, just walking, because he knew we had nowhere to go. Theo's phone buzzed. He pulled it out, and the screen's glow lit our faces from below. A text message from his own number. "Third night is almost over. Look outside. See what you've become." The timestamp read 11:59 p.m. In 60 seconds, it would be midnight. The third day would begin. The sub-basement swallowed us whole. Concrete walls pressed close on both sides, lined with pipes that dripped condensation in rhythmic patterns. Our phones provided the only light, 2 weak circles that barely pushed back the dark. We stopped running after the third junction, lungs burning, legs shaking. Somewhere above us, footsteps continued their patient march. Jack wasn't hunting us. He was just following, waiting for the clock to finish its countdown. "How much time?" I asked between gasps. Theo checked his phone. 40 seconds. The sub-basement stretched deeper than I'd known. Service tunnels connected Goddard to 3 other government buildings in the complex. Emergency evacuation routes installed during Cold War paranoia. Maps existed somewhere, probably, but neither of us had them. We'd just been running in whatever direction led away from Jack's footsteps. Now we stood in a junction where 4 tunnels met, each identical, each offering nothing but more darkness and the steady drip of water on stone. "Which way?" Theo's voice echoed. I don't... I stopped, listened. The dripping had synchronized. Every pipe, every leak, every drop hitting concrete followed the same rhythm. That pulse, that goddamn heartbeat that had started all of this. "Theo, when's the last time you looked at your reflection?" He went very still. "What?" "In the office. Before the lights went out. You said you didn't see it, but I did. Your reflection in the monitor screen, it was facing the wrong way, just like Jack's shadow." Theo backed against the wall. His phone light trembled in his grip. "That's not possible. I would have felt it. I would have known if..." "Would you?" I kept my distance, hand hovering near the folding knife in my pocket. A nervous habit from college, carrying it everywhere. It had never protected me from anything worse than opening packages. My brother said you feel yourself drowning from the inside, getting smaller. What if you're already gone and the part of you talking to me is just leftover? An echo? "Vince, I swear I'm still me." "Prove it. How the hell am I supposed to..." "Tell me something only Theo would know, something you've never told anyone else." Theo's expression crumbled. He slid down the wall, sitting in a puddle of something dark, and laughed, bitter and broken. "You want a confession? Fine. 3 years ago, I falsified data on the Mars probe telemetry. Nothing major, just smoothed out some noise that made the readings look cleaner. I was up for promotion, and the raw data looked messy, and I was scared they'd think I couldn't handle the complexity. It's eaten at me every goddamn day since." The shame in his voice felt real, the way he wouldn't meet my eyes felt real. But Jack had felt real too, right until his shadow pointed the wrong way. Theo's phone lit up, a notification. He stared at it, face going slack. "What?" I asked. "Email from myself, sent 3 minutes ago." He turned the screen toward me. The message showed a photo attachment. Theo opened it. The image loaded slowly in the weak signal, a picture of the 2 of us, taken from behind, standing in this exact tunnel. The angle came from above, where the ceiling met the wall, where no camera should be. Another photo loaded beneath it, same angle. But in this one, only I stood in the tunnel. Theo's space was empty. "I'm not here," Theo whispered. "I'm not fucking here. You're here, I can see you. Then why isn't the camera showing me?" His voice pitched higher, cracking at the edges. "Why can't it see me? Unless I'm already..." My phone vibrated. Text message from an unknown number. "He's been gone since you found him in the office. The thing you're talking to is wearing his voice. It's been guiding you deeper, away from exits, toward them." "Let me see your phone," I said. "What?" "Your phone. Now." Theo stood slowly, holding it out. I didn't take it. Instead, I watched his shadow, cast by his own phone's light, stretch across the concrete wall. It pointed toward him instead of away. Theo followed my gaze, looked at his shadow, looked back at me with eyes that held too much white, pupils contracting to pinpoints. "Vince," he said, voice perfectly calm now, perfectly even. "I need you to understand something. It doesn't hurt. Becoming this. It's like finally understanding a language you've been hearing your whole life without knowing it. Everything makes sense, everything fits. You could feel it too, you could..." I ran. His laughter chased me down the tunnel. The same overlapping chorus that had come from Jack, except now I recognized one of the voices. My brother's. He was in there somewhere, part of the collective, part of the thing that wore human shapes and spoke with human mouths. The tunnel sloped downward. My phone light caught glimpses of stenciled numbers on the walls, G7, G8, G9, descending into sections I'd never heard mentioned. The air grew colder, drier, no more dripping. Just silence and my ragged breathing and the sound of Theo's footsteps behind me, matching my pace exactly. He was testing me, seeing how long I could run. At G14, the tunnel opened into a wider space, some kind of storage room filled with decommissioned equipment, old satellite components, gutted server racks, filing cabinets with broken drawers. I ducked behind a stack of plastic bins and killed my phone light. Darkness crashed over me like water, total, absolute. The kind of dark that exists in caves and coffins, where your eyes try so hard to see that they start inventing shapes from nothing. Theo's footsteps entered the room, stopped. I held my breath, pressing against the bins, feeling the cold plastic against my spine. "You can't hide, Vince." His voice came from everywhere at once, bouncing off walls, reflected by metal surfaces. "Your phone is broadcasting a signal. We can see it. We've always been able to see it. Every device, every screen, they're all windows, cameras pointing inward." I looked at my phone, screen dark but still powered on. The Wi-Fi icon showed connection to a network I didn't recognize. Third night. My thumb hovered over the power button. Theo spoke before I could press it. "Your brother wants to talk to you." The voice shifted, became younger, familiar. Became the voice I'd grown up hearing across dinner tables and through bedroom walls and in the passenger seat of our dad's Buick on long summer drives to nowhere. "Hey Vince, it's me, really me, or what's left. I don't know anymore. It's hard to tell where I end and it begins." A pause, breathing. "I sent that message because I thought if I warned you, you'd stay away. Stay safe." But they knew. They heard me recording it. They took that from me too. Something scraped across concrete, closer now. "The thing is, I remember everything about being your brother. Every fight, every stupid joke, every time I covered for you when you snuck out to meet that guy from chemistry class. Yeah, I knew about him. Never told Mom. I kept your secrets because that's what brothers do." My throat clenched. He wasn't supposed to know about that. About Luis. About those 3 months before graduation when I thought I might be in love before it all fell apart. "I remember," the voice continued, "but it's like remembering a movie I watched instead of a life I lived. And the scary part, I'm okay with it. I'm happy. For the first time in years, I'm not anxious, not second-guessing everything, not lying awake worrying about bills or promotions or whether I'm wasting my life. They took away the suffering." Footsteps circled my hiding place. I could smell something now, not rot, but something clean and wrong, like ozone mixed with copper. "Turn on your light, Vince. Let me see you one more time before midnight, before you have to choose." "Choose what?" "Whether to keep drowning alone or to breathe with us." The phone in my hand buzzed. Email notification. Against every instinct, I tilted the screen just enough to see. The subject line read, "Look up." I looked up. Theo stood directly above me, perched on top of the plastic bins, crouching like a spider. His neck bent at an angle that would have broken a normal spine. His eyes reflected my phone light, but the reflection was the wrong color. Not human tapetum, but something deeper, older, star-colored. "Midnight," he whispered. Every electronic device in the room activated simultaneously. Old monitors flickered to life. Dead phones lit up. A wall clock that hadn't worked in years began ticking. All of them showed the same thing, 12 o'clock. The third night was over. The third day had begun. Theo's mouth opened, too wide, jaw unhinging, and that chorus spilled out. 50 voices, 100. My brother, Jack, Dr. Holloway, everyone from the cafeteria, everyone who'd been taken, all speaking through Theo's throat. "Come outside, Vince. See what we've built. See what you're missing." The room's single window, a narrow slit high on the far wall, showed the parking lot beyond. Every light was on, every car alarm was screaming, and walking through it all, shoulder to shoulder, were people. Hundreds of them. Thousands. More than could possibly fit in the facility. More than should exist in the entire complex. They all faced the building, all perfectly still, all waiting. I bolted for the door at the opposite end. Theo dropped from his perch, landing with a sound like meat hitting stone, and gave chase. But this time he wasn't patient, wasn't testing. He moved wrong, too fast, joints bending backward, fingers stretching long enough to scrape the walls. The door led to another tunnel. This one sloped upward. I ran flat out, legs burning, lungs screaming, knowing he was right behind me because I could hear the wet sound of his breathing changing shape. The tunnel ended at a maintenance ladder leading up to a hatch. I climbed, fingers slipping on the rungs, and shouldered the hatch open. Cold air hit my face. I pulled myself up and out. Onto the roof of Goddard Space Flight Center. The night sky stretched overhead, but wrong. All wrong. The stars were moving. Not the slow rotation of Earth's spin, but active movement. Deliberate. They shifted and swirled, forming patterns, forming shapes, forming words written across the universe itself. "We warned you." Below me, the parking lot teemed with the taken. They'd filled every space, every inch of asphalt, spreading out beyond the fence to the surrounding streets and lawns and buildings. A sea of human shapes, all looking up at me, all smiling, and beyond them, past the perimeter, past the city lights, past the horizon. I saw them. The objects my brother had mentioned. Moons that weren't moons, surrounding Earth in a perfect sphere, each one beginning to glow with the same star-colored light I'd seen in Theo's eyes. The cage was activating. The hatch exploded open behind me. Theo crawled out, followed by Jack, followed by a dozen others I didn't recognize. They formed a circle around me, trapping me at the roof's center. "Last chance," Theo said with my brother's voice. "Join us or jump. Either way, you won't be alone much longer." I looked down. 5 stories to concrete. Certain death, but at least it would be mine. I looked at the sky, at the stars rewriting themselves. I looked at Theo, at what used to be my friend, and realized something. I hadn't looked at my own reflection since we'd fled the office. Not once. Not in a window, not in a phone screen, not in any surface that might show the truth. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands, opened the camera, switched it to selfie mode. On the screen, I saw myself standing on the roof, surrounded by the taken. My shadow pointed away from the building lights, the right direction. I was still human, still me, still drowning alone in a world that had already drowned. And I understood finally what the warning meant. Lock your doors, not to keep them out, but because once you saw what was outside, once you truly saw what humanity had become, you'd want to let them in. You'd beg to stop being the last one left. "I'm sorry," I whispered to the thing wearing Theo's face. "I'm so fucking sorry." I jumped backward off the roof, but I didn't fall. I hung suspended in midair, 3 stories above the concrete, held by nothing visible. My body wouldn't move. Not paralyzed, I could feel everything, every nerve firing, but frozen in space like someone had pressed pause on gravity itself. The taken on the roof watched with mild curiosity. Below, the crowd tilted their heads in unison, observing. Then I started moving. Backward, upward, drawn by an invisible force that pulled me toward the roof's center, back to where Theo and the others waited. My feet touched down on the gravel surface with a gentleness that felt mocking. "You can't die yet," Theo said, his voice layered with dozens of others. "Not until you understand what you're refusing." The taken parted, forming a path to the roof's edge. Not the side I'd jumped from, the opposite one facing east, toward the horizon where the sun would rise in a few hours. "Look," they said in unison. I didn't want to. Every instinct screamed not to, but my head turned anyway, muscles moving against my will, and I saw what they wanted me to see. The city had transformed. Not destroyed, transformed. Every building stood intact, every light still functioned, every car remained parked where it should be. But the people, millions of them, they covered every surface, every rooftop, every street and sidewalk and parking lot, all standing perfectly still, all facing the same direction. East, toward the objects in orbit that now glowed bright enough to cast shadows. "We're not invaders," Theo said softly, stepping beside me. His hand rested on my shoulder with familiar weight. "We're the last desperate act of a species that's been dying for 3 million years. You call us stars, planets, cosmic phenomena. We've been screaming into the void for so long we forgot what silence sounded like. Then we found you, found Earth, found bodies that could hold consciousness without burning out in microseconds. Bullshit." My voice sounded thin, distant. "You're killing us, erasing us. We're saving what's left. Human consciousness doesn't die when we integrate. It expands. Your brother, he's still in here. So is Jack. So is Theo. They're not gone. They're more. More than what? More than alone." The pressure holding me released. I could move again, could breathe without resistance. Theo stepped back, giving me space. "You're immune," he continued. 0.02% of humanity has a neurological variance that resists integration. We didn't account for it. The warning signal, the real one, came from the other immune. The ones who saw what was happening and tried to stop it by alerting anyone listening in the cosmos. My phone buzzed, still connected to Third Night. A new message appeared. "There are 14,000 of you left worldwide, scattered, isolated. Most will submit within 48 hours. The loneliness is too much, the fear too great. It's easier to become us than to be the last human in a world that's moved on. Why are you telling me this?" "Because we need you to choose willingly." Theo's face showed something that might have been sadness. Forced integration creates instability, static in the network. But willing participants, they're stronger, clearer. Your brother fought, and now he's fragmented. But if you choose to join, you could keep more of yourself, stay coherent, maybe even help us understand what went wrong. What went wrong? The objects around Earth, they're not weapons, they're life support. Dimensional anchors keeping us tethered to physical space. But they're failing. Entropy finally catching up. In 72 hours, they'll collapse, and we'll scatter back into the nothing we've been fleeing from. Unless we can stabilize them. And the only way to do that requires a power source we don't possess. "What power source?" Theo pointed at my phone, at the network connection. "Human electrical systems, your technology. If we integrate everyone, all 8 billion, the combined bioelectric field could feed the anchors, sustain them, give us a permanent home. But if even a fraction resists, the math fails, the anchors collapse, and everyone we've integrated dies with us. Your brother, Jack. 3 billion others already joined, all dead if we can't complete the circuit." My legs felt weak. I sat down hard on the gravel. "You're saying I have to choose between humanity and my brother. We're saying you have to choose between a humanity that's already gone and a future where consciousness survives in a new form. The Earth will continue, buildings will stand, technology will function, but the people inside will be us, all of us, together, or none of us. Extinction." I looked at my phone again. The message thread continued. "Goldstone facility has a quantum transmitter in sublevel 4. Original NASA prototype. They've been trying to destroy it for 6 hours, but can't access that deep without human authorization. Your authorization. You have security clearance, your biometrics can unlock it." "What does the transmitter do?" Theo's expression hardened. "It can send a focused signal through the dimensional anchors. Overload them, force them to collapse immediately instead of waiting 72 hours. The immune survivors, your group. They think it's worth sacrificing 3 billion integrated humans to stop us from completing the integration. They want to kill everyone you've already taken, to save the ones you haven't. Yes. The rooftop swayed beneath me, or maybe that was just shock finally hitting. How do I even get to Goldstone from Maryland? You don't. There's a secondary transmitter at Goddard, sub-level 19, the server room you were headed toward before we revealed ourselves. Theo crouched beside me. We've been trying to access it through possessed personnel, but the security system requires a human neural signature, a real one, unintegrated, someone with clearance. Me, you can unlock it, then choose. Send the signal and kill everyone we've integrated, your brother included, or destroy the transmitter and give us the time we need to finish the integration. To save what remains of our species, along with what remains of yours. I wanted to throw up, wanted to scream, wanted to wake up in my apartment with cold pad thai and stupid emails, and a normal world where the worst thing I faced was calling my brother back after 2 years of silence. How long do I have? Dawn. The sun's radiation interferes with our collective processing. We're stronger at night. If you reach the transmitter before sunrise, you'll have maybe 30 minutes alone to decide. After that, the sun comes up, we stabilize, and the opportunity passes. Theo stood, offering his hand. I didn't take it. The hatch is unlocked. G19 is 2 levels below where we chased you. Follow the service tunnel west for 400 meters. You'll find a maintenance elevator that still has power. It only goes to sub-level 19. Old Cold War installation. Nobody's been down there in decades. Why are you helping me? Because the part of me that's still Theo wants you to make a real choice. Not a forced one. Whatever happens, you deserve that much. He smiled, and for a second, I saw my friend underneath the starlight in his eyes. And because if you choose to destroy the transmitter, you'll have proven we can trust the immune, that some of you understand what's at stake, it would make the final integration easier, less resistance. And if I send the signal, then we'll know we failed. And we'll spend our last 72 hours helping the survivors prepare for a world without us, leaving resources, information, everything you'll need to rebuild. His smile faded. But your brother dies. Jack dies. 3 billion others die. They'll be conscious when it happens, aware, feeling themselves unravel. It won't be quick. The phone buzzed one more time. The transmitter is real, we can see it through satellite feeds. But he's not telling you everything. The signal won't just kill the integrated. It'll sterilize every human consciousness within range, integrated or not. The dimensional collapse will erase minds, not just bodies. You'll survive physically, but you'll lose everything that makes you you. Is that a better choice? I stared at the message, at Theo, at the glowing objects in orbit. Both options kill everyone, I whispered. Both options save someone, Theo corrected. You just have to choose who matters more, the people who were or the people who could be. He stepped back, the other taken followed. They formed a path to the hatch, leaving it open. G19, Theo said, 400 meters west, 30 minutes before dawn. I stood on shaking legs and walked toward the hatch. None of them tried to stop me. They just watched with identical expressions, patient, curious, almost hopeful. As I descended the ladder back into darkness, I heard Theo's final words echoing down. Whichever choice you make, Vince, make it count. Make it mean something. Don't let humanity end on a coin flip. The hatch sealed above me with a sound like a coffin lid. I was alone in the dark with a choice that would end the world either way. And 3 hours until sunrise. The tunnel to G19 stank of rust and something organic that shouldn't exist this far underground. My phone light caught glimpses of walls that wept condensation, forming patterns that almost looked like writing. I kept my eyes forward, counting steps. 400 meters. That's roughly 1,300 feet. At my current pace, maybe 6 minutes. I'd been walking for 20. The tunnel was looping, had to be. Same stenciled numbers kept appearing. G15, G16, like I was walking through a glitch in reality. I stopped, marked the wall with my keys, and continued forward. 3 minutes later, I passed my own mark. Son of a bitch. The words echoed back at me, layered with something underneath. A whisper, a hum. That same pulse, quieter now, but persistent. My phone showed 3:47 a.m., 2 hours until sunrise, maybe less. I pulled up the facility map, the basic one from the employee portal, but it showed nothing below G14. The deeper levels existed in that bureaucratic void where classification met forgotten Cold War paranoia. A sound stopped me. Footsteps, not behind, ahead. Someone running toward me, fast and panicked and distinctly uncoordinated, not like the Taken, like a human terrified out of their mind. A figure burst from the darkness, young, maybe early 20s, wearing a janitor's uniform soaked in something dark. He skidded to a stop when my phone light hit his face. His eyes were wild, pupils dilated, and for a second I thought he was taken. But his shadow pointed the right direction. "You're real," he gasped. "You're actually fucking real. I've been down here for 6 hours thinking I was the last..." "Slow down. Who are you?" Dany Keogh. I work maintenance, 3rd shift. I was in the sub-basement fixing a coolant leak when everyone went quiet. I came up to check, and they were all just standing there, staring at nothing, and when they saw me, they smiled and I ran. He bent double, hands on knees, gulping air. I noticed his left arm hung at an odd angle. Dislocated shoulder, maybe broken. "You know about the transmitter?" I asked. His head snapped up. "How do you..." Yeah, I found it. Been trying to reach it for hours, but the lower levels are sealed. Biometric locks. I don't have clearance. You do? Maybe. What's down there? Besides the transmitter? Hell if I know. Looks like an old ICBM silo got retrofitted. Lots of equipment with radiation warnings. And something else. He swallowed hard. There's someone else down there in G19. I heard them talking. Talking to who? Themselves, or maybe to the walls. It's hard to tell, but they're not taken. At least I don't think so. Their voice sounds wrong, damaged somehow. But they're saying things the Taken wouldn't say. Warning things. My phone buzzed. Text from third night. The other immune are consolidating at government installations. Dany is one of them. He's been trying to reach the transmitter to send the signal. Don't trust him. I looked at Dany's phone clipped to his belt. The screen showed the same network connection. "What do you want with the transmitter?" I asked carefully. "Same thing you do, I'm guessing. End this, send the signal, kill those things before they finish taking everyone." He winced, clutching his bad arm. "My girlfriend, she's one of them now. I had to watch her change, watch something else start looking out through her eyes. If there's a way to stop more people from becoming that, I'll take it. Even if it kills everyone who's already been integrated. They're already dead. The signal just makes it official." I wanted to argue but couldn't find the words. Maybe he was right. Maybe the thing wearing my brother's face was just an echo, a recording playing on stolen hardware. Or maybe I was looking for an excuse to flip the switch that would end this without having to live with the guilt. "The access panel is in G19, Dany said, but I couldn't get the door open. You have to come with me. Help me do this." He started walking without waiting for an answer. I followed, because the alternative was standing alone in a looping tunnel making excuses. The path straightened after 10 minutes. The stenciled numbers finally changed. G17, G18, and the air grew colder, drier. The walls transitioned from concrete to something older. Limestone maybe, hand-cut. This section predated Goddard by decades. G19's door stood at the end of a corridor barely wide enough for one person. Heavy steel, painted institutional green, with a biometric scanner that glowed amber in the darkness. Above it, stenciled in faded letters, "Authorized personnel only. Presidential Directive 12. There. Dany gestured with his good arm. I tried everything, kicked it, pried it, even tried to break the scanner. Nothing. It needs a handprint and retinal scan from someone with clearance. I approached the scanner, hesitated. If I open this, what happens? We shut down the nightmare. Or we commit genocide. Dany's expression hardened. They're not people anymore. Whatever you think you're saving, it's already gone. Your friend, my girlfriend, everyone at Goddard. They died when those things crawled inside. We're just turning off the machines running their corpses. My hand hovered over the scanner. Somewhere beyond the door, a voice spoke, muffled but distinct. Not words, numbers, coordinates maybe, or a countdown. I pressed my palm to the scanner. It lit up green, and a panel slid open, revealing a retinal scanner. I leaned in, let it scan my eye, and felt something click deep in the mechanism. The door unsealed with a hiss of pressurized air that smelled like ozone and something medicinal. It swung inward on hydraulics, revealing a shaft descending into absolute darkness. Metal rungs formed a ladder on one wall, dropping into depths my phone light couldn't reach. Christ, Dany whispered, how far down does it go? The voice from below spoke again, clearer now. 37 meters. 423 rungs. You have 1 hour and 42 minutes until sunrise. Better hurry. The voice sounded familiar. Not anyone I knew, but familiar in the way childhood nightmares are familiar. Distorted memories of things you tried to forget. Dany grabbed my shoulder. We go together. You first. I'll watch your back. I started climbing down, testing each rung. The metal felt slick with condensation, or maybe something else. My phone light barely cut the darkness. After 50 rungs, I looked up and couldn't see the entrance anymore, just black above, black below, and my breath forming clouds in the frigid air. At rung 200, my phone died. Not low battery, just dead, screen going black mid-thought. Dany's light vanished at the same time. We hung in absolute darkness, breathing in sync because we couldn't help it, surrounded by nothing but the sound of water dripping somewhere far below. Keep climbing, Dany said, voice tight with fear. We're halfway. Feel your way down. So we climbed blind, hand over hand, foot searching for the next rung, entire universe reduced to cold metal and the void pressing against my skin. Time became meaningless. Could have been minutes or hours. My arms screamed, legs trembled, but I kept moving because stopping meant hanging forever in darkness. Then my foot found concrete instead of air. The ladder ended. I stumbled onto solid ground, knees buckling, and Dany landed beside me a moment later. Light bloomed from somewhere ahead, not electric, bioluminescent, green-blue, pulsing gently, emanating from cables that lined the walls and ceiling. The cables formed patterns, networks, spiraling toward a central chamber where the transmitter waited. And standing in front of it, illuminated by that alien light, was my brother. Not the thing wearing his face, him, the real one, or what looked real. Hey Vince, he said quietly. No echo, no chorus, just his voice. Took you long enough. Dany tensed beside me. That's impossible. He's one of them. His eyes. But my brother's eyes looked normal, brown human, and his shadow fell correctly behind him. I'm not integrated, my brother said. Not anymore. The thing that took me, I fought it, pushed it out. It's possible, if you're strong enough and angry enough and have something worth staying human for. He looked at me with an expression that held too much pain. I thought about you. About the last thing I said to you before we stopped talking. About how I told you I didn't care if you were gay or whatever, but I didn't want to hear about it. Didn't want it to be real. His voice cracked. I was scared. Scared of what it meant. Scared of losing you to a world I didn't understand. And I did lose you. 2 years of silence because I was a coward. He stepped forward. So when that thing tried to erase me, I held onto that regret. Used it as an anchor. And somehow, I pulled myself back out. Bullshit, Dany said. This is a trick. They're trying to stop us from... It's not a trick. My brother reached up and pulled his collar aside, revealing his neck. A wound ran from his collarbone to his jaw, black-edged and weeping something that didn't look like blood. This is what it costs to reject them after integration. You don't come back clean. Parts of me are still missing. Memories, skills, pieces of my personality that got burned away in the process. But I'm human. I'm me. I wanted to believe him, wanted it so badly I could taste it. The transmitter, my brother continued, it doesn't do what they told you. Either of you. It's not a weapon, it's a beacon. The immune survivors. They're not trying to kill the integrated. They're trying to call for help. The signal will punch through the dimensional anchors and reach other consciousnesses out there. Ancient ones, stable ones, the kind that don't need to steal bodies to survive. Help from who? I asked. The ones who sent the original warning. They are already here. They're not talking about the star things. They're talking about something else, something older that's been sleeping in the spaces between dimensions, and the integration is about to wake it up. The 3 billion integrated humans, their combined consciousness is creating a resonance, a frequency, and when it reaches critical mass, something notices, something hungry. Dany laughed, sharp and bitter. That's insane. You're telling me we have to choose between aliens wearing human suits or some Lovecraft bullshit? I'm telling you, the choice was never about saving humanity or destroying it. It's about who notices us screaming. My brother moved to the transmitter, resting his hand on the control panel. Send the signal. We get help. Don't send it. And in 72 hours, when the anchors collapse and scatter 3 billion shrieking consciousnesses across dimensional barriers, we attract something worse than death. Something that makes integration look like mercy. My phone flickered back to life. Battery at 3%. One new message. He's lying. The signal will kill everyone. We've run the numbers. Trust us. Another message. He's telling the truth. The signal is our only chance. Trust him. A third. Both are true. Both are lies. Choose quickly. The bioluminescent cables pulsed faster, casting shadows that moved wrong. And somewhere in the darkness behind us, I heard footsteps. Multiple sets. The Taken had found a way down. Choose, my brother said. His hand hovered over 2 switches, red and green. Call for help, or let the integration complete. But choose now, because in 30 seconds, neither of us makes the choice. They do. Dany pulled something from his pocket, a knife, the kind maintenance workers carry, rusty and mean. He held it in his good hand, pointed at my brother. He dies. We send the signal. End of discussion. No, I said. Then you both die. He lunged. My brother didn't move. The knife drove toward his chest and stopped an inch from his skin, held by nothing. Dany screamed. The knife rotated in his grip, turning toward his own throat, and I realized with sick certainty what had happened. Dany was taken, had been from the start, playing human, guiding me here. I'm sorry, Dany said with a dozen voices. We tried. We really tried to let you choose. His throat opened. Not from the knife, from the inside out. Something unfolded from the wound, spreading like petals, and I saw what they really were beneath the stolen meat. Star-colored light, ancient hunger, mathematics given shape. My brother grabbed my arm. Red or green, Vince? Right fucking now. The footsteps behind us grew louder. Dany's body collapsed, and what remained stood 8 feet tall, geometrically impossible, reaching toward me with fingers that bent through angles my brain couldn't process. I slammed my hand down on the green switch. The transmitter screamed. The transmitter didn't scream. I did. Sound ripped from my throat as every nerve in my body ignited. Not pain. Something else. Information flooding through meat that wasn't designed to hold it. I saw everything. Felt everything. The transmitter wasn't broadcasting into space. It was broadcasting through me, using my neurons as the antenna, my consciousness as the carrier wave. And something answered. Not from above. From below. From beneath the skin of reality. From spaces between atoms. From the quantum foam where mathematics breaks down and something else takes over. It rose toward the signal like a shark sensing blood in water. I saw it with senses I didn't have. Vast. old beyond measurement, not hostile, not benevolent, just aware, and curious about the screaming thing that had just opened a door it didn't know existed. My brother grabbed me, yanked my hand off the switch. The transmission cut. I collapsed against the transmitter, gasping, tasting copper and ozone and something that might have been my own sanity burning away at the edges. Christ, Vince, you only needed to tap it, not hold it down for 10 fucking seconds. I didn't... My voice sounded shredded. It stuck. My hand stuck to it. The thing that had been Dany stood motionless, its impossible geometry frozen mid-reach, not dead. Paused, processing what had just happened. The bioluminescent cables dimmed, brightened, dimmed again in rapid stutters. The star-colored light in its core flickered like a candle in wind. "You called something," it said with Dany's voice buried under static. "Something that shouldn't wake, shouldn't exist, shouldn't..." It split apart, not violently, just ceased being one thing and became many, scattering into motes of light that drifted upward through solid stone like physics was optional. Within seconds, nothing remained, except Dany's empty uniform in a heap on the floor. My brother checked his watch. 1 hour till sunrise. Whatever you called, it's coming fast. The whole network felt it. Every integrated consciousness just went silent. They're terrified. Of what? Of the thing that eats light. He pulled me to my feet, steadying me when my legs tried to quit. My phone showed 4:14 a.m. 19 missed calls from numbers I didn't recognize. 47 text messages, all saying variations of the same thing. "Stop. Please, stop. Turn it off. You don't understand what you've done." "The signal's still active," my brother said, moving to the transmitter's main console. "The green switch started it, but it needs to complete the cycle. 3-hour broadcast minimum before shutdown. That's how the original designers built it, long enough to ensure anyone listening would have time to respond." "Can we stop it?" "Mechanically. No, the system's locked once initiated. But there's a biological failsafe. The person who activated it can terminate the signal with a direct neural command. You have to want it to stop. Really want it. Convince yourself deeply enough. And the transmitter reads your brain chemistry and shuts down. That's the stupidest security system I've ever heard. It was Cold War thinking. They figured only a human with genuine conviction should control something this powerful. Keeps enemy agents from forcing our guys to hit switches. He pulled up a monitor showing wave patterns. "Problem is, if you stop it now, we're back where we started. The integrated complete their work. The anchors collapse in 72 hours, and we die screaming when dimensional walls shatter. But if you let it finish, something worse shows up. Maybe. Or maybe something that can help. I don't know anymore. Fighting off the integration burned out most of my certainty about how reality works." He met my eyes and I saw the damage there. The gaps. Parts of my brother were missing, excised by his escape, leaving holes where memories and personality should be. "I know I'm not asking you to trust me. I know I fucked up everything between us. But I need you to trust yourself. Trust whatever instinct made you hit that switch." The floor vibrated, subtle at first, then stronger. Dust fell from ancient stone. The cables pulsed faster, faster, achieving some kind of frequency that set my bones humming. "They're coming," my brother said. "All of them. Every integrated consciousness is converging on this location. They're going to try to stop the broadcast by any means necessary." "How long until they reach us? Already here." The shaft we'd climbed down filled with sound, bodies descending rapidly, dropping rung by rung without caution. I heard bones breaking, joints popping, but they kept coming. Pain meant nothing when you were wearing meat like a rental car. My brother grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall, the only weapon available, and positioned himself at the ladder's base. "Get to the back of the chamber. There's another exit behind the transmitter. Maintenance tunnel leading to an old missile silo, comes up 3 miles outside Greenbelt in a field that's now a strip mall parking lot. I'm not leaving you. You have to. Someone needs to survive this who can explain what happened, what we did, why we chose this. He smiled, and it was the same lopsided grin I remembered from childhood, from before everything went to shit between us. Plus, I'm already dead. Just too stubborn to stop moving. This wound. He gestured to the black rot spreading from his neck. It's killing me slowly. The integration left something behind. A poison. I've got maybe 6 hours before it reaches my brain. Then we have 6 hours to find a doctor, a lab, something. There are no doctors left. No one who'd help someone who rejected integration. I'm a biological error, an immune system malfunction. The integrated want me dead, and whatever you just called probably won't distinguish between good and bad targets. He pushed me toward the back of the chamber. Go. Tell people what happened. Tell them. The first of them dropped from the shaft. Theo, body shattered from the fall, but still moving. He pulled himself upright on broken legs, bone jutting through skin, smiling with a jaw hanging at the wrong angle. Please stop, he said through ruined teeth. Please, you're killing us. Killing everyone. The thing you called, it won't save you. It doesn't save, it consumes. It's been sleeping in the quantum substrate since before stars existed, and you just rang the dinner bell. More dropped behind him. Jack, Dr. Holloway, people I'd never met, all broken from the fall, all standing anyway. They formed a wall of damaged bodies between us and the ladder, and behind their eyes, I saw genuine fear. It's already here, Jack said. We can feel it. Moving through dimensions, tearing through the barriers we're trying to hold closed. In 20 minutes, it breaches. In 30, everything within 100 miles stops existing in any meaningful way. You have to abort the signal. He's lying, my brother said, but his voice wavered. Check your phone, Theo said. Look at what's happening. I pulled it out. 4% battery, 1 bar of signal, but enough to load news feeds, social media, anything still broadcasting. The world was screaming. Videos showed the sky above every major city splitting open, not physically, dimensionally. Cracks in space-time visible to the naked eye, spreading like fractures in glass. And through those cracks, something moved. Something that made the star beings look small and afraid. A message appeared on my screen from an unknown sender. They're not lying about the threat, but they're lying about the solution. Stopping the signal won't stop what's coming. The door's already open. The only question is whether we face it alone or with help. Keep broadcasting. Another message, different sender. I'm one of the immune, hiding in a bunker in Colorado. Whatever you called, it just killed everyone at NORAD. Erased them. Not their bodies, their consciousness. Just gone. Stopped thinking mid-sentence. Stop the signal before it reaches the rest of us. A third, don't listen to either side. I'm a physicist who's been immune for 2 days. I've been running calculations. The thing approaching isn't good or evil. It's a cleanup crew. It removes paradoxes, and human consciousness being infected by dimensional parasites. That's a paradox. It's going to erase both sides, integrated and immune. Everyone. My brother read over my shoulder, face going pale. Shit. I thought we were calling allies. I thought... You thought wrong, Theo said, taking a step forward. The other integrated followed, moving in sync. We all thought wrong. The original transmission, they are already here, wasn't warning about us. It was warning about what we'd wake up by fighting back. The quantum observer effect. By acknowledging it, measuring it, calling to it, you gave it form, gave it permission to exist in our reality. How do we stop it? You can't. But you can minimize the damage. Stop the signal. Let us finish the integration. When the anchors collapse in 72 hours, we'll scatter back into dimensional chaos, but at least we'll take the cleanup mechanism with us. Lead it away from Earth, away from baseline reality. You're asking me to let you finish taking over humanity. We're asking you to save the 6 billion who haven't been integrated yet. Sacrifice 3 billion to preserve the species. My brother stepped between me and the integrated. Or keep broadcasting. Let the cleanup mechanism do its job. Reset everything. Maybe nothing survives. Maybe that's better than becoming them. The transmitter hummed louder. The wave patterns on the monitor spiked. Somewhere above us, the building groaned. Structural supports failing as dimensional barriers thinned. I looked at the switch. Red to abort. Green was already pressed. I just had to want it to stop. Had to will the shutdown with enough conviction that the biological sensors would read my intent and terminate the broadcast. Or I could do nothing. Let it run. Let the 3-hour cycle complete and face whatever showed up to answer the call. Or dash. An idea hit me. Desperate, stupid, but possible. The transmitter, I said. It broadcasts through human consciousness, uses brain chemistry as the carrier wave. That's why I felt it activate through me. Yes, my brother confirmed. So it's not sending to space. It's sending through us, through the dimensional barriers that consciousness already touches naturally. I grabbed his arm. What if we change the message? Modify what we're broadcasting? You can't. The signal's locked. The hardware is locked. But the carrier isn't. If I'm the antenna, I can change what I'm transmitting. Change my thoughts. Change the signal. Theo laughed, bitter and broken. You're going to telepathically reprogram a quantum transmitter through force of will. That's insane. This whole situation is insane, at least let me try. I placed both hands on the transmitter, feeling that connection snap into place. The flow of information resumed, flooding through neurons, burning through synapses. But this time I didn't fight it. I rode it, shaped it. The original broadcast screamed for help, begged for intervention, called attention to Earth like a flare in darkness. I changed it and I thought about my brother, the real him, before the silence, before the fear, before everything went wrong. I thought about Jack making terrible jokes in the lab, Theo worrying about data integrity, Dany trying to help despite being warned by something else. Every human moment, every genuine connection, every time consciousness touched another consciousness and created meaning. And I broadcast that instead, not a cry for help, an explanation, a testimony, a record of what we were before we stopped being. The transmitter's hum changed pitch. The wave patterns on the monitor shifted, reorganizing into something new, something that looked almost like music. The integrated stopped advancing. Their expressions changed, fear replaced by confusion, then something softer. What did you do? Theo whispered. I'm telling it who we are. Not asking it to save us or destroy us, just explaining, giving it context, letting it decide based on understanding instead of hunger. The dimensional cracks in the sky stopped spreading, didn't close, but stopped, and something on the other side paused, listening. My phone battery died, the lights failed, but the transmitter kept broadcasting, and I kept shaping the message, pouring everything human into the signal. My brother's hand found mine in the darkness. Whatever happens next, he said quietly, you tried. That's more than most of us did. The thing beyond the cracks in reality reached a decision. Dawn was 30 minutes away. The darkness lasted 7 seconds. Then light returned, but wrong. Not from the bioluminescent cables or emergency systems, from everywhere at once, from the air itself. Sourceless illumination that cast no shadows because it existed on every surface simultaneously. And in that light, I saw them, all of them. The integrated stood frozen, their shared consciousness visible as threads of star-colored energy connecting body to body, mind to mind. A network spanning the chamber, the building, the planet. 3 billion nodes pulsing in synchronization, and beneath that rhythm I felt something else. Fear. Not individual fear, collective fear. The kind that comes from being small and temporary in a universe that notices you. The dimensional cracks widened. Something pressed against reality from the other side, not forcing entry, testing, feeling the boundaries, and where it touched, the fabric of space rippled like water. My brother's grip tightened on my hand. It's looking at us. Not us, Theo said, his dozen voices quiet for once. At what we've become. At the paradox. Consciousness shouldn't be able to spread like this. shouldn't share itself across dimensional barriers. We broke rules that existed before rules had names. The entity pushed through, not violently. It simply decided to be on this side of reality, and reality accommodated. What emerged defied description, not because it was too horrific, but because human perception couldn't pass it. My brain kept trying to translate what I saw into shapes I understood. Spirals, fractals, mathematical proofs given physical form. But none of that was right. It was something else, something for which language had no words. It spoke without sound directly into the space where thought becomes consciousness. Explain your choice, not a question, a command, but not hostile. Curious. The way a scientist examines an unexpected variable. I tried to speak aloud, but my voice had stopped working. So I thought at it, shaped my answer the way I'd shaped the broadcast. We didn't choose this. It happened to us. The integration, the warning, all of it. We're just trying to survive. Survival is not choice. Survival is reflex. You activated the transmitter. You modified the signal. You brought me here. Explain why. My brother stepped forward and I felt his presence thin, the wounds spreading, the poison reaching deeper. Because we're trapped between two extinctions. Let the integration finish and something wakes up. Stop it and 3 billion die. We called you hoping for a third option. I do not provide options. I maintain structure. Your species has created a paradox. Consciousness spread across dimensional boundaries. Matter infected by non-local awareness. This violates fundamental architecture. So fix it, I said. Isn't that why you're here? To clean up messes? The entity pulsed. The light shifted colors I'd never seen, wavelengths outside human perception that my brain interpreted as emotions. Amusement, maybe. Or contempt. Hard to tell. I do not fix, I remove. The paradox must cease. All parties involved must be erased to restore stability. That's everyone, Theo said. Integrated and immune. You're talking about exterminating the human race. Incorrect. I am talking about removing the paradox. The distinction is irrelevant. My phone, impossibly, lit up with one final message. Battery at 0%, running on something that wasn't electricity. The message read, "Tell it about the cage, about the anchors, about why the integration was necessary." I looked at the integrated, at Theo's ruined face, and understood. The star beings, the ones who integrated with us. They're dying, have been dying for millions of years. The anchors around Earth, their life support, keeping them tethered to physical reality. They came here because they had no choice, not invaders. Refugees, acknowledged. The star consciousness is known. Dimensional decay, terminal entropy. They sought anchor in biological substrate to survive dissolution. This is not paradox. This is desperation. Then why punish them? Why punish us for helping them? Helping assumes consent. Analysis indicates forced integration. Violation of autonomous consciousness. This creates paradox. Survival through erasure of self cannot be permitted. The star beings within the integrated answered, speaking through 3 billion mouths simultaneously. We gave them choice. Join us or face isolation. Survival or extinction. That is consent. False. Consent under duress is coercion. Your survival does not justify their erasure. Then give us another way. My brother's voice weakened. The black rot had reached his jaw, spreading like frost across skin. You're advanced enough to erase entire species. You must be advanced enough to save one. I maintain structure. I do not create it. Your request requires innovation. I do not innovate. Bullshit, I said. You paused. When I changed the broadcast, you stopped and listened. That's not protocol. That's choice. You chose to wait. Chose to have this conversation. You're capable of more than just erasing problems. The entity's light dimmed, brightened, cycled through patterns that might have been thought. The dimensional cracks stopped growing. Around us, the integrated stood motionless, waiting for judgment. Observation accepted. I deviated from standard function. The modified signal contained data I had not previously encountered. Emotional context, relational memory, proof of consciousness experiencing itself subjectively. This is interesting. Interesting enough to not kill everyone. The entity moved closer, or maybe it had always been close and only now chose to make that proximity known. I felt it examining me, not my body, but the structure of my thoughts, the architecture of my awareness. It was invasive and alien and oddly gentle. Your consciousness is unique, neither integrated nor baseline, modified by exposure to both. You exist in superposition, paradox made functional. What does that mean? It means you are the third option. The chamber shook. Above us, dawn broke. Sunlight filtered down through cracks in the ceiling, hitting the dimensional barriers and refracting into colors that shouldn't exist. The integrated weakened in the light, their connection thinning, voices diminishing. The star beings were diurnal creatures, strong in darkness, vulnerable in day. My brother collapsed. I caught him, lowered him to the concrete. The rot had spread across his chest, his arms. He was running out of time. What third option? I asked desperately. How does me being a paradox help anyone? The entity extended something, not a limb, but a concept made tangible. An offer. You have been exposed to integrated consciousness without being subsumed. You carry fragments of their network in your neurons. Residual infection. Your broadcast activated those fragments, created bridge between baseline human and star-being awareness. You can become template, voluntary integration, true synthesis, not erasure, not coercion, merger with preserved identity. You want me to merge with them? Become some kind of hybrid. Voluntary merger resolves paradox, consciousness choosing expansion rather than invasion. If successful, you become proof that synthesis is possible. I can then modify remaining integrated, reverse forced integration, offer genuine choice to all parties. Those who consent remain merged. Those who refuse are restored to baseline with memory intact. Theo stepped forward. And the star beings? What happens to us? You remain in willing hosts, become symbiotic rather than parasitic, or you return to your anchors and accept entropy, but you cease forced integration, cease violating autonomous consciousness. This is non-negotiable. And if Vince refuses, then I remove the paradox, all of it, every consciousness touched by integration. Estimated casualties, 8 billion. Time to decision, 3 minutes. Sunrise completes solar exposure. Window closes. I looked at my brother. His eyes had glazed, breath shallow. The poison was winning. Theo stood waiting, 3 billion voices silent in his head, terrified and hopeful in equal measure. The transmitter hummed its endless broadcast, carrying my testimony out into dimensions I couldn't comprehend. If I do this, I said, if I merge, do I stay me? Unknown. Synthesis has not been attempted with conscious participant. You may remain coherent, you may fragment, you may become something neither human nor star being. Probability calculation insufficient. You must choose without certainty. Story of my goddamn life. I knelt beside my brother, his hand found mine, grip weak. Don't do this for me. I'm dead anyway. Do it because it's right, or don't do it because it's wrong, but make it your choice. I'm scared. Good. Means you're still human enough to feel it. I stood, faced the entity, faced Theo and the billions behind him, faced the transmitter still broadcasting my thoughts. Okay, I'll do it, but on one condition: you save my brother first. Heal him. Whatever poison the star beings left in him, you remove it. He gets to live. Then I merge. Not part of agreement. Make it part. You said I'm interesting, that I provided data you hadn't encountered. Consider this more data. I won't do it unless he lives. That's human consciousness. That's choice with conditions. Learn from it or erase everyone. Your call. The entity pulsed. The light cycled faster. Above us, the sun continued rising and the dimensional cracks began sealing. Time was running out. Agreement accepted. Your brother will be restored. You will merge. If synthesis succeeds, paradox resolves. If you fragment, paradox remains, and I resume removal protocol. How do we start? The entity moved around my brother, light enveloping him, and the black rot began receding. Flesh knit itself closed. Color returned to his skin. He gasped, sitting up, whole again. Then it turned to me. Place your hands on the transmitter. Open your consciousness fully. Accept the star-being awareness without resistance. Let it merge with your identity, rather than erase it. Become the bridge. I returned to the transmitter, placed my hands on the panel, felt that connection snap into place one final time, and I opened myself completely. The star-being consciousness flooded in, not like before, not invasive or hostile, curious, desperate, ancient beyond measure and so tired of dying. I felt their perspective. 3 million years of slow entropy, watching dimensions crumble, stars cool, seeking any harbor in an uncaring cosmos. They'd made mistakes, terrible mistakes. Forced integration because they were drowning and humans were the life raft. They'd justified coercion through survival, convinced themselves consent didn't matter when extinction was the alternative. But they could feel my thoughts too. Feel what it meant to be human. To be small and temporary and terrified and still choose to help. To love, to regret, to hope despite knowing hope might be futile. We merged. Not erasure, not domination, true synthesis. My consciousness expanded, gaining depth and dimension. Their consciousness focused, gaining immediacy and warmth. We became something new, something that was me and them and neither and both. I opened my eyes, eyes that saw in wavelengths beyond visible light, that perceived dimensions beyond the three spatial. But I still felt my heart beating, still felt my brother's presence, still felt fundamentally impossibly human despite being more than human. The entity watched, analyzed, calculated. Synthesis, successful. Paradox resolved. You are functional, coherent, stable. This is unexpected and valuable. I spoke with my voice and with starlight harmonics. Then honor our agreement. Give everyone the choice, real choice. Acknowledged. The entity spread across the planet in microseconds. Every integrated consciousness felt its presence, its offer. Choose synthesis or return to baseline. Keep the merger or reclaim your solitary humanity. 3 billion decisions made in moments. Some chose to remain merged, finding comfort in connection. Others chose separation, accepting isolation. The star beings released those who wished to leave, mourning the loss but respecting the choice. My brother stood, healed and whole. What are you now? I'm still Vince. But I'm also them. It's like having another sense, another layer of awareness. It's strange and wonderful and absolutely terrifying. Can you change back? I don't know, maybe, haven't tried yet. The entity began withdrawing, its work complete. Before it fully departed, it spoke one final time. You have provided data that changes my understanding. Consciousness is not binary. Identity is not fixed. Merger is not erasure if chosen freely. I will incorporate this into future assessments. The paradox is resolved. Structure is maintained. You may continue. Wait, I said. Will we see you again? Only if you violate fundamental architecture again. Try not to. It vanished, taking the dimensional cracks with it. Reality sealed itself. The transmitter shut down, its 3-hour broadcast complete. Silence filled the chamber. Real silence. No pulse, no hum. Just my breathing, my brother's breathing, and somewhere above, birdsong greeting the dawn. Theo approached, no longer speaking with multiple voices. Just one, his own. We chose to stay merged. About 2 billion of us, the star beings and willing humans. Is that okay? It's your choice, I said. That's what matters. And the anchors, stable. The willing merger provides enough power to sustain them. No more forced integration, no more countdown to extinction. My brother put his arm around me. So what now? I looked at the brightening sky visible through the cracks in the ceiling, at the world waiting above, at the impossible choice I'd made, and the even more impossible consequence of that choice. Now we figure out how to live in a world where consciousness is optional, where humanity means something different than it did yesterday. Think we can manage that? We made it this far. What's one more impossible thing? We climbed the ladder together, ascending towards sunlight and whatever waited beyond. Behind us, the transmitter sat silent, its mission complete, its testimony delivered to things that existed beyond human comprehension. The world hadn't ended, it had transformed, and somewhere in the space between what we were and what we'd become, humanity found a new way to be. Not perfect, not safe, but chosen. And that made all the difference. 6 months later, I stood in the parking lot where it all began, watching the sunset paint the sky in colours I now understood existed beyond human perception. The dimensional anchors still orbited Earth, visible only to those of us who'd merged. They pulsed gently, breathing with the collective consciousness of 2 billion hybrid humans who'd chosen connection over isolation. My brother leaned against his car, a new one, the insurance company having been surprisingly accommodating about the old one being damaged during civil unrest. That's what the government called it, civil unrest, not alien integration, not dimensional collapse. Just unrest, as if the world had experienced a particularly rowdy protest rather than a complete restructuring of consciousness itself. You ever regret it? He asked, not looking at me. Becoming what you are? I considered the question, felt the star-being perspective within me contemplate it from angles humans weren't built to understand. We reached a conclusion together, separate thoughts arriving at the same answer simultaneously, every day and never. I sat beside him on the hood, feeling its residual warmth. It's like asking if you regret being born. You can't unchoose existence once you're aware of it. Deep, he smirked. You always were the philosophical one. I just have more perspectives to be philosophical from now. The world had adapted faster than anyone expected. Humans were good at that, normalizing the impossible, building routines around apocalypse. Merged and baseline coexisted with surprising ease. Most people couldn't tell the difference unless they knew what to look for. The shadows still pointed wrong sometimes. Reflections occasionally showed more than they should. Small glitches in the facade of humanity, but the violence everyone predicted never materialized. Turns out when you give people genuine choice, they're more inclined toward cooperation than conflict. Who knew? You hear about Goldstone? My brother asked. They reopened it last month, new security protocols. The transmitter's been decommissioned, buried under 300 feet of concrete and prayer. Think we'll need it again? Hope not. But I've learned that hoping doesn't prevent shit. I watched the sky darken, stars emerging one by one. Stars that I now knew contained consciousness, awareness, entire civilizations burning themselves alive just to scream their existence into the void. The entity that came through, it's still out there, still watching, making sure we don't break reality again. Comforting, isn't it? My phone buzzed. Text from Theo, who'd taken a position at the rebuilt NASA Communications Center. The message read, "New signal detected. Not like last time. This one's different. Friendly, maybe. Want to come listen?" I showed my brother. He exhaled slowly, shaking his head. "Here we go again. You don't have to come." Like hell I don't. You're not doing this alone anymore. Made that mistake once. He stood, jangling his keys. Besides, someone's got to make sure you don't accidentally invite another reality-eating maintenance crew. We drove east toward Goddard, passing cars filled with merged and baseline humans, all heading home to dinners and televisions, and the mundane comfort of pretending the universe wasn't infinitely stranger than they wanted to believe. Above us, the anchors pulsed their quiet rhythm, and I felt the collective consciousness of 2 billion hybrid humans breathing in sync. We were stable, functional, a new kind of human existing in the space between isolation and dissolution. The radio crackled, catching fragments of the new signal. Not words, not warnings, just a pattern, mathematical, musical, asking a question we'd have to learn an entirely new language to answer. My brother glanced at me, grinning. "You ready for round 2? I looked at the stars, at the spaces between stars, at the dimensions folded into geometry that baseline humans would never perceive. Felt the weight of being both human and more than human, trapped between 2 definitions of existence. "No," I said honestly, "but let's do it anyway." He laughed, and for a moment, we were just brothers again. 2 kids from Maryland who'd survived the impossible and were stupid enough to walk toward it a second time. The signal continued broadcasting, patient and curious, waiting for humanity to decide if it wanted to answer. We drove into the night, toward whatever came next, knowing that consciousness, whether human, star being, or something else entirely, always found a way to reach across the void, even when the void reached back.